What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of The Girl Who Talks Sports, the podcast where we talk sports and other girly things. I am Sam Cardona, and I am super excited. We are finally in the NFL season, and it is so exciting. Week 1 was fantastic, and we are going to go over everything that happened on Sunday. And with me this week, I am joined by none other than, who else would we expect to bring on the full NFL experience but Miss Jordyn Coupe, SportyJordy. Jordyn, thank you so much for once again joining me. I think this is your 4th time on my show.
No, it's really an honor, and these are my favorite episodes to do, so I am so excited.
I know, it's gonna be really great, and I was like thinking about it. The last time that I had you on the show was Super Bowl. So I ended last season with you, and now I'm starting.
And now we're coming full circle, and you were on my show for the draft.
Yes.
So we have been together through all of the major events so far.
Every event. And we have so much to discuss because there was so many things that happened yesterday.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, why don't you let everyone know where they can find your YouTube channel, your podcasts, social media, and all that good stuff.
So I've officially changed all of my social media handles so they match up. So you can find me everywhere at the SportyJordy, which is so much more convenient. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, I'm all over. I am also the Eagles correspondent for Walter Picks on TikTok. So you can find me at eagles.walterpicks for all of my Eagles content. My YouTube is SportyJordy, post weekly videos there. And then Onside Chicks, my podcast goes live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube and Twitch. So there is all of it.
all of the stuff. And then you guys can find me obviously at TGWTS podcast on Twitter and The Girl Who Talks Sports on both Instagram and TikTok. Okay, let's get into this. So first of all, let's start off with our overall feelings. What were your feelings going into Sunday, week 1, with football coming back and basically spending the entire day watching football?
Oh yeah, I did not move. Like, it was kind of scary, but it's fine. I loved every second of it. Going into this week, looking at the schedule, I was honestly super nervous because I was like, 99.9% of these games are toss-ups.
Right.
And it turned out the ones that I thought were locks, not all, but a couple of the ones that I thought were locks didn't even end up being locks. And what more would you expect from week 1 of the NFL other than a freaking turn of events? But
right.
No, I think it lived completely up to expectations. There was the perfect amount of like craziness and excitement to bring everything back. And I thought it was the perfect way to kick off this season.
Absolutely. And sitting there watching Scott Hanson and NFL Red Zone, I was
elated.
Oh, thank goodness it's here. I'm so happy.
I literally was like, I miss this man so much.
I was trying to find the time. I was like, I don't know when to go to the bathroom because I literally don't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
Because that's like always the issue. But yeah, so like you said, there were so many games in this week that were toss-ups and we really didn't know which way it was going to go. And I think that there was a number of them that a lot of people expected to go one way and went the complete opposite.
Yes.
So I want to talk about a few of those games. And I want to start off with the Cardinals because I think we both have been like riding the Cardinals train.
Oh yeah.
I have been singing their praises all off season, and a lot of people are kind of like pushing back on it for some reason. But I think that this week solidified the fact that the Cardinals are no joke. And I don't think that this win was like a fluke in any way. Like, I think that they deserved this win.
I agree with everything that you just said. I've been like on the Cardinals. I listed the Cardinals as dark horse Super Bowl contenders, which I still stand by.
Yes.
And I had people saying this team is not going to be close to above 500. They're going to be super mediocre. They'll be good soon, but not yet. And I just love that they came out and not only did they win, but they absolutely dominated on both sides of the ball against a team that is well known for being great. So they did exactly what they had to do. Thank God too. I was going up against Ryan Tannehill in fantasy, so I loved everything about it even more.
Perfect.
But yeah, no, they held him. They found out how to stop Derrick Henry. They swatted a touchdown from Julio Jones in the end zone. Like there was just so much. Everything they were doing was beautiful. And Kyler Murray just had his option of weapons on offense. Like this is going to be one high scoring team week after week. And I love everything about it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And the thing that is like weird to me is that people are surprised. I saw so many things that people were like, wow, the Cardinals are good. I'm like, the Cardinals have been good.
Yeah. Like, where have you been?
Literally, like last year, they were phenomenal. Like they
were so close to making the playoffs last year. And then we saw how they drafted and all of the moves they made in this offseason. Like I can't wrap my head around why people are so shocked about this.
I know it's very weird, but I think that they are, honestly, this is like my one like unpopular opinion. I think that they're winning the NFC West.
I would love it.
I think that like people are going to like feel the Rams, and the Rams are not going to be a bad team. But I have a feeling that they're going to come out and just like really just like ball and just winning and winning and winning. And it's going to be so good. And I mean, we have to talk about Chandler Jones and this defense. 5 sacks in one game. Incredible. I
remember when he got to 3 sacks and everyone was freaking out on Twitter. Like, has this ever happened? Like, what is going on? Everyone was pulling it. And then another one and another one. And I was just sitting there and I was like, this man cannot be stopped. And it's actually super funny because the comments I got the most when I was talking about the Cardinals was how their defense wasn't going to live up to expectations. And now I'm just sitting there and I'm like, really? Tell me again about how the Cardinals defense and how it isn't great. Please. I would love to hear it.
What was that? Really?
I'm sorry. What?
I told my dad that stat and he goes, no. You mean like for 3 sacks? I said, no. I mean 5 sacks. Mm-hmm. And now he's like the track that he's on. Like he's going to be the sack leader for this entire.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's no way that doesn't happen because he's just, even if he gets like 1 sack every game for the rest of the year, just phenomenal. And
he set himself up beautifully.
So beautifully. And it's really, I'm so excited to watch the rest of this season with the Cardinals. So I think overall Cardinals are good. And this win was not something that the Titans just gave up to them.
No. And I think you could have made the argument too, like if they were playing against a team that's kind of like on the fence, like if they were playing anyone in the NFC East, if they were playing like the Bengals or the Vikings, like someone like that, who's kind of like close to being good, but just not there yet, then I can understand people making the argument, like maybe this is a fluke. I would still shut them down because I know it wasn't a fluke. But the fact that they were playing the Tennessee Titans, that I was just like, bring it home, baby. Nobody can knock the Cardinals anymore.
Absolutely. So there is a bunch of teams here that I want to talk about. This one is the one I'm most interested to hear what you have to say about whether or not this is a fluke or not. And that's the Steelers, because obviously everybody, and I mean everybody, went into week 1 thinking the Bills were going to beat the Steelers. Mm-hmm. And while I think their defense is phenomenal, like so good, they did so good in this game, their offense really isn't doing it for me. What do you think? Like, do you think the Steelers are actually going to be good, or was this just like the Bills just didn't know what to do?
No, I loved everything about this game because in the Fantasy Underdogs, which is another show I do on the side, in our pregame show, previewing all the games for Sunday, I literally said, I was like, I would take Bills money line. I said, but I would not be shocked if the Steelers come out and pull out an upset. I just had good vibes about them going into this because I was totally on the Steelers hype train last year. And it was easy to do considering they started off the season 11-0 and obviously hit a downward spiral towards the end of last season. Right. But really their main focus and what they had to figure out was their run game on offense. And drafting Najee Harris was the best thing they could have ever done. We know how talented their defense is. So and with Mike Tomlin as your head coach, like you can never count them out. So I don't think this was a fluke. I don't know if they're going to have, in my initial season rankings, I put them coming in 3rd in this division, and that was before all of the injuries on the Ravens. So granted, things are much different now, but I don't count the Steelers out this season. I think they're definitely in it to win it.
TJ Watt was a star.
He proved why he got paid.
Absolutely. 3 tackles, 3 solo tackles, 2 sacks, and he hit the QB 5 times. So this was, I mean, Josh Allen was just covered in grass stains for the most part.
Yeah, I felt so bad.
And yeah, I know, poor Josh. But this, like, it just proved, everybody was saying like, yeah, no, maybe they shouldn't pay him or this and that. And like, no, if anything,
had to.
TJ Watt is surpassing his brother JJ,
which is insane to me
because JJ is so good, and yet
it's JJ Watt.
Yeah, and yet TJ is making his way up to be like this amazing player, and the rest of this defense obviously is just so good. And the thing is with their offense, Big Ben is really stressing me out, but their receivers seem to be trying to pick up that slack. Especially Deontay Johnson, who there was an injury scare in the middle of this game. But I think that he was doing a lot better than what people were expecting, like Juju or Chase Claypool to do. Like, he really showed up.
Definitely. And I think that's where they're getting lucky for right now. Big Ben is making, every time he hit the ground, he looked like he was limping every time he got up. And I was like, dude, are you hurt? I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
I'm honestly, and this is kind of a hot take, if Big Ben, and I would never wish this on anyone, but if Big Ben were to go down in a game, put Dwayne Haskins out there, I think the Steelers are still set. So I think no matter what happens, the Steelers are in a good position. Like you said, they have so many options on offense, and they have this good energy. Like, they all want it. They're all hungry and feisty. So even if your quarterback isn't the best quarterback out there, when you have receivers like that, you're still going to be able to get the job done. And they also have one of the top defense in the league to rely on. And as we all know, defenses win championships. So Steelers, top to bottom, might not be the best team in this league. However, they're in a very good position to still make some noise. And I think teams should definitely be scared of them.
Do you think they're going to make this run again? That it's like they keep winning, but yet they're like not the best team? Like, I have a feeling that it's going to be a very similar, maybe not undefeated for the first 11 games, but I have a feeling
is still so insane to me.
I know, because it's like weird, because you were like, they're not good, but they don't stop winning.
They don't lose. Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be a very similar situation, that you're like, oh, they're not looking good, but yet they're still winning games.
Yes. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the scoreboard says. If you're winning, you're winning. And they play. I think the thing with them too is they figure out, on every team they go up against, they figure out what they need to stop, and they make that their priority. So like you said, it's not like they're coming out and looking great, but they know who they're up against. They know their weaknesses. And at the end of the day, it pays off and they get a W, and that's all you really need.
I mean, yeah, a win is a win. It doesn't matter how you get there. The next team here is one that's going to, make my heart bleed, and we'll talk about the NFC East a little bit later in the show, but the Broncos.
Okay.
The Broncos won against the Giants, obviously.
They did.
But I don't know if the Broncos are good or not. I have this feeling that it's possible that they came out strong in this game, and a little bit later down the line, apart from like Von Miller and their defense, I don't know about this offense, especially with Jerry Jeudy now out.
Yeah, that was devastating. And I mean this in the nicest way possible. I love you so much.
I know.
But they were also playing the Giants, which we know aren't in the best of conditions right now. So I think that also sets them up to have a better image after week 1. I think the Broncos are going to be very mediocre. I see them being a 500 team. They're not going to be terrible. It's not going to be like the Jets or the Texans last season. I think they win 5-6 games, but nothing spectacular, nothing blown out of the water. I think the Jerry Jeudy injury is a huge blow.
Yeah.
And not that he alone could save their season, but I think that is going to hurt them. So yeah, I don't think they're going to be terrible. I don't think they're going to be great, just very middle of the line this season.
Yeah. The good news is I believe Jerry Judy's only going to be off for a couple weeks. Like
that's good.
He only has like a high ankle sprain or something like that. Like, it's not as severe as everyone thought it was going to be, because
when I first saw it, I could think of was Dak Prescott. It reminded me of that same injury. And I was like, Jesus Christmas. Like, we don't want to see that.
I know. Yeah, that was heartbreaking with Dak last year. And seeing him go off on the cart, that's what's always scary, that you're like,
yeah,
you can't walk off the field yourself. It can't be good. But luckily, it seems like it's only going to be a few weeks before he comes back for the Broncos. But I agree with you. I don't think the Broncos are going to be this stellar, amazing team, but they'll win a few games. Teddy Bridgewater is a solid quarterback to have. And
absolutely.
He's
much better than Drew Lock.
Yeah.
And I know.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm looking up right now who they're playing next week because I'm very curious. Jaguars.
Maybe they'll get a win.
Maybe they'll go 2-0.
Yeah. We're gonna start making our way into some QB performances. So we'll talk about that. So like, I guess this kind of is a good transition because I want to talk about the Saints next. And then after that, talk about these QBs on new teams and their performances. So I guess that'll go in with the Saints and Jameis Winston here. So what are your thoughts on the Saints? I think that they were phenomenal all the way around. I mean, the Packers, we can get into that whole spiel later, but the Saints and Jameis Winston looked confident. They don't have star receivers. They're obviously just doing their best and making plays and winning this game by so many points against a team that everyone expected them to lose to.
Yeah, no, I had this as like one of my locks. I was like, there is no way. I've been saying it all off season. The Saints were so over salary cap this year that they had to make cuts that they never in a million years would have made if they had the money to pay certain people. So they were down to like skin and bones. You lose Drew Brees after his incredible career. Jameis Winston, I don't think is a bad quarterback. I never thought he was a bad quarterback, but he's Jameis Winston and you never really know what you're going to get. He'll throw for 30 touchdowns in a season, but with that, 30 interceptions are going to come just because he's just slings it and you never know what's going to happen. So I thought the Saints, not that they were necessarily going to have a terrible season, but I just thought it was going to take them a couple weeks to figure it out. Like I did not expect that in the slightest. What we saw, I literally sat there and I was like, what the heckers is going on? I was in all, I like couldn't even speak. I was just like, and then the Packers would get out there.
Yeah.
And they looked garbage. I was like, okay, I guess this is happening right now. Yeah. And this is so embarrassing to admit now. When the Packers, I think it was like 10-0. So I went in and I bet the Packers +4. And I was like, there's no way the Packers are losing this game. I'll take them with the points. This is going to be easy. And then the Packers literally could do nothing. And I was like, oh, this is bad.
It was not good. It was not good. And we're going to talk about Aaron and the Packers in the show. But I think with the Saints, I think that they are good. And I think that they won this game. I mean, they came out and just full blown won this game. And I think that even after everything that's gone on with like the hurricane and they can't play in their home stadium, they're playing in Jacksonville in this game. And I believe they have to play in different places for like the next month before they can go back to Mercedes-Benz. So sad. Which is really sad. So I think that even with that happening and just your mentality of just being like, oh my God, now we have to do all this stuff to play these games, you still came in, you put 38 points up on the board. Like, just incredible. Did you see the Jameis Winston interview?
Yeah, I was literally like in tears.
He was like, what did he say? What did my trainer say? He just said to do good. Like, he was just like.
And did you see him in the presser after? He was like literally talking with tears in his eyes. And he was like, we did this for New Orleans. Like, they're so strong, everything they've been through. And you could tell like how sincere it actually was. And I was just like, this man is a national treasure. I'm sorry I picked against you. Forgive me.
He really is. And now he can see.
Now he can see.
He got his LASIK surgery done. And he looks so confident out there. And like Michael Thomas obviously is not playing for the Saints anytime soon. It's just being able to connect with these like free agency receivers that really like half of the league knows nothing about. he just really just performed really well. So I'm excited to see what the Saints can do. And when they end up going up against like the Buccaneers in their division.
I think this is going to be one of those things. I'm not 100% sure if it was a fluke or not. Like the Cardinals, I feel very confident about.
Right.
The Saints, I'm not 100% sure, but I would love for them to like prove it and be like, no, we're consistently good and we're going to be good. I would love that. I think Jameis Winston deserves that after everything. So I will never wish anything bad upon the Saints. I'm just not totally sold that this is a playoff contender team just after this one game. I need to see a little bit more of a sample size.
Yeah. My brother asked me yesterday, he was like, do you think they're going to beat the Buccaneers? And I'm like, I can't think that far ahead.
No, I don't know.
I don't know. That's the thing. It's like, you're like, oh my God, like Buccaneers look this way on Thursday. And like, look at how good the Saints did. And I'm like, but it's going to be a very different time when they end up meeting each other. So yeah, no, but I think Jameis did good. He got 5 touchdowns. It was great. And there's a lot of other quarterback performances that are guys who were on previous teams that are now on new teams. And there's a quite a bit actually. And I'm excited to talk about this next one with you. And that's Carson Wentz on the Indianapolis Colts. We got to do it. And to be fair, I believe like in the first half of this game, he was doing fairly well.
Yes.
And I believe it was the second quarter. Yeah. He threw 10 passes, completed 9 of them, threw for 97 yards and a touchdown, looking great. Yeah. And then all of a sudden just depleted the second half of the game.
Yeah.
What happened?
He played like Carson Wentz, and I wished the best for him, and I wanted him to do well. And I was devastated when we traded, like literally in tears. Like I cried. I was heartbroken. And the more I look at it, the more I'm like, we 100% did the right thing. I fall more in love with Jalen Hurts every single day. And Carson Wentz, like he fumbled the ball on a quarterback sneak where he wasn't tackled. And I was like, you know what? I feel great. That's all I needed.
Yeah, no, it's just this man, he really like, if like there was an edge that he was standing on, it would be right there. Like he's standing right on the edge. And I'm afraid for his physical health. Like he feel like he's like moving too fast.
Yeah, like, he just looks panicked all the time. And last season I tried defending him and being like, all right, we have no O-line, our play calling doesn't make sense. Everyone, like our offensive weapons, like everyone's injured. So I was like, no wonder why he looks panicked. But in the Colts offense, back with your like favorite dude ever as your head coach, right, you should not still be looking this panicked. Like there shouldn't be, you should feel more comfortable. And it was weird because you would have thought the second half and the first half were swapped, because the first half he looked comfortable and I was like, all right, good for him. Like he found his groove, everything's great. And then like you said, kind of just tumbled down that cliff. So I don't know. Granted, week 1 on a new team,
right.
I'm still going to give him, I don't know why I keep defending him. I really shouldn't. It just sets myself up for failure, but I will continue to try and wish him the best. And as long as he plays this whole season, we get a first round pick. So it's fine.
Yeah. That's all that you care about. It's just that he doesn't like get hurt again.
Yeah. As long as he doesn't die. Which
is very possible that it'll happen at some point, which is terrifying. And
if this man,
I would never want him to get hurt, but I have a feeling it's going to happen.
If this man plays 69% of snaps, I will be following him falling off of a cliff. I just need 70%, and then do whatever you want, Carson. Yeah.
But yeah, no, Carson once again did well, not doing good the second half. He was not connecting with his receivers at all. I feel like, but maybe it's time to just kind of like move through the motions here. You got to get over the hump that this is your first game, and maybe he'll get better later on, but it all
maybe
depends.
He heard the Eagles score at halftime and got pissed and then got flustered.
I wouldn't be surprised. They are in the locker room and he's just sitting there on his phone and they're like, Carson, what are you doing? And he's like, nothing.
Nothing. I'm not watching Philly.
No, I'm not watching. It's fine.
And we won't get into it, but that has to be like, I can imagine today that would be hard for him.
Oh, yeah.
Like that would be tough.
It's like watching like somebody that you used to date, like thriving.
Yeah.
Right?
In a new healthy relationship, having so much fun. And then you're still losing.
Yeah. And like, now you're like, wow. But then you're like, wow, I'm doing really good. And then you go out there and you're like thinking too much about it. And you're like, oh my God, what if they're watching me? Oh my God. And then you're like, and then you freak out. And then I
have a feeling that's what happened.
It's possible. It's very possible. Or like one of his teammates was like, oh, hey, Carson, like, oh, the Eagles are doing good, like as a joke.
And then all of a sudden it was like,
he's like, oh my God, like just completely tanked. I would not be surprised.
No.
But yeah, so that's Carson Wentz's performance. We'll see how he does the rest of the season. Someone who did fairly well in his performance on Sunday Night Football was Matthew Stafford.
Yes.
For the LA Rams. He had his career best quarterback rating at 156.1. So
wow, my favorite number is 156.
Well, there you go. Matthew is out here thriving in LA. What were your thoughts on the Rams last night and his performance?
That was exactly what I expected to see. And I am so glad he lived up to those expectations. And there were some people that I talked to that weren't totally sold. And they were like, yeah, he was in Detroit and it's a crumbling system. But at the end of the day, like you should still be able to make something happen if you're a great quarterback. And I was like, I think he has it in him, especially when you throw him in on that offense with Sean McVay. I was like, this is his time to perform. And if he doesn't perform, then yeah, he's not a great quarterback, but he did. And he overperformed and he looked spectacular. I had people texting me, I just bet the Bears plus 8.5. I was like, why? I was like, they're not covering. Like it's not. Matthew Stafford is going to run all over them. And he did exactly that. So I'm super excited for that to be your first game on a new team in prime time. And for him to just look that comfortable, I think it speaks volumes. I just think the Rams are in a very good position. And I just can't believe not a single team in the NFC West lost yesterday. They all won.
Oh my God. You're right.
Like that's scary.
Is the best division in the NFL.
Oh, it really is. It really is.
The best one. Like
I had it tied with the AFC North.
Yeah.
But now with the Ravens being injured, with the Bengals still not looking like they didn't look like they made great leaps, NFC West definitely comes in and takes the cake.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And it was he just, like you said, he looked so comfortable. He just looked like that's where he belonged.
Yeah, he was happy.
He was connecting with his receivers. He had that beautiful throw to Cooper Kupp into the end zone, who had nobody around him. I don't know where that blown coverage went, but he was just out there and he was just like, here I am, Matt. I'm here.
You know, they eat breakfast together every morning.
Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw someone tweet it and they were like, why did no one tell me that Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford eat breakfast together every morning before I drafted Robert Woods? And I was like, they eat breakfast together every morning.
I have Robert Woods on my fantasy team.
Robert Woods is still going to be good. You know, he's just going to dish it out.
Yeah. No, he had a TD last night. So
yeah. Did you also see that they showed a woman last night and they called
and it wasn't his wife?
It wasn't his wife.
I was like, they showed it to her and I was like, wow, she looks really good. Like, because I know that she was sick and I was like, wow. And my brother was even like, wow, that woman looks fantastic. And I was like, and then all of a sudden I go on Twitter and it was like, that was not Kelly Stafford. Yeah. And I was like, oh no, Al Michaels said that was Kelly Stafford.
No, they literally they were like, we don't want her to think there's anything fishy going on. Like Matthew Stafford brings his second blonde wife to the football game.
I know. I was just like, they literally just found like a pretty woman who was blonde and they were like, that must be Kelly Stafford.
Wearing a Matthew Stafford jersey. And they're like, this is the one.
Oh my God. Someone must have gotten yelled at yesterday.
Yeah, someone probably is jobless today, riding the unemployment train.
Oh my God, that's so funny though. But yeah, overall, I think what's also really comforting for someone like Matthew Stafford in his position is he has such a solid defense to rely on that he knows like they're not going to, the opposing team's offense isn't going to go in there and put points on the board that he has to reciprocate. Like,
exactly.
He knows Aaron Donald is going to do what Aaron Donald needs to do. And that's like very comforting.
Yeah.
So he did, like you said, exactly what everyone said he was going to do. And I think that he did great. And I'm excited to see what he does for the rest of the season. Now, on the opposite side of things, when Matt Stafford in LA, we have Jared Goff in Detroit, who surprised me.
Yes.
Surprised me a lot. He threw the ball 57 times.
That's insane. It's almost as much as Jack in Thursday Night Football.
Like, he did so much, and like, it was insane. And obviously they lost. They didn't win, but I think they could have lost in a much different way.
Oh, like, they were down by like 20 at one point. I think it was even more than 20.
It was 18. Or no, it was 28-10. I don't know how to do math. What's 28 minus 10? 18. Yeah, it was 18.
Let's skip over the math portion.
It was 28-10 was the score that they were down by. So
that's insane.
Yeah, they did. And like, the 49ers were like, I think that would have been a lock, right? The 49ers winning the game. And they literally almost came back and went into overtime.
It was so close. I told my mom's in a suicide pool. And I was like, take the 49ers. This is going to be easy. And towards the end, she was like, are the Lions coming back? And I was like, don't panic. Everything's fine. And it ended up being fine. But you're right. It was much closer than I was ever expecting it to be.
Yeah, no, the loss sucks for the Lions, but I think that little bit, like that fourth quarter for them, like gave them that hope that maybe they didn't have with Matt Stafford. Like, it just wasn't working, obviously. So the last quarter there, I believe, Jared Goff was 19 completions for 25 attempts. It's just very encouraging to see him play. And maybe this is where Jared Goff is going to thrive.
Yeah.
Like, maybe he just wasn't working in LA. It's like, you take the guy out. Same thing with Matt Stafford. You just swap them over, and now it's like, wow, like, these teams look like totally different than they did last year.
And if Jared Goff can make anything happen in Detroit, I would say it's much more impressive, because Matthew Stafford is being thrown into a perfect system, and a system that is like made for him to thrive, basically. Right. Jared Goff is basically working with nothing, like next to nothing. He's got TJ Hawkinson, but like, their depth chart is literally empty. Like, if like, he is making miracles happen, basically. So I would say if Jared Goff can have a winning record this season, even if the Rams make the playoffs, that's more impressive to me, because I thought they were setting him up to fail.
Absolutely. And there's a new coach, a new quarterback, like that. Everything is changing there.
Yeah.
For the people who have stayed there now have to do with all of this change. Like, it is very different scenarios, but I agree. If Jared Goff succeeds, or even if they don't even have like the great record, but it proves on paper what kind of quarterback he is, that's really that's so impressive for him. So we'll see. I don't know. I saw a lot of potential with the Lions yesterday somehow. With this 49ers defense, I was like,
I know.
That's a little bit embarrassing for San Francisco, I think.
And they're playing with like a 2 quarterback offense. Like, they're just basically rotating at this point. And I was like, I mean, I'm all for it, but I also think the 49ers, they seem to just get comfortable towards the end because they had such a big gap, which you really can't do. And they did what they had to do to hold on to it, which was great. Their defense really stepped up on that last drive to kind of solidify the bag, but they did. They almost fumbled it.
Yeah, it would have been really bad for the 49ers if the Lions came back.
Oh, yeah, especially in that division. Any loss in that division, like one loss in that division could be the difference between you and playoffs. Like, it's going to be that close. And
like you said, everybody has a win right now. So it's going to come down to them playing each other.
Yep.
Like, that's
those games, I am not like, I'm watching those games like my life depends on it, because I'm so excited.
Oh my God. Those NFC West games are going to be phenomenal, and I'm so excited.
Incredible.
The last quarterback that's not a rookie that we're going to talk about is Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold obviously played his former team with the Jets. Did good. I think that he did real great. Like, not fantastic, like blown out of the water. Like I was like, oh my God, what a performance. But he did very well. And he even ran in his own touchdown. Like he ran like a 5-yard touchdown in. I was like, you know what? Look at him go.
Yeah.
Look at Sam Darnold go.
Yeah, I am a total Sam Darnold supporter. I love him. I want him to kind of remake a name for himself in Carolina. And I make this comparison all the time. I see a lot of Josh Allen in Sam Darnold. And Josh Allen, I think, is steps above. Like, I think he's definitely more well-rounded than Sam Darnold. I don't want to put them on the same pedestal, but the way that he is able to make his own blocks and run his own touchdowns, and like he's built in that similar capacity. So if he can start to utilize that a little bit more in Carolina, they're going to be set up beautifully. And like you said, he didn't come out. It wasn't the best he's ever played. He didn't blow us all out of the water, but he played good. And that's all they needed to do. That game too, that started getting close at the end, but Carolina held on, did what they had to do. And I really like what I'm seeing. Carolina is also a team that isn't totally finished. I don't want to say they're in a rebuild, but they still have some work to do. They're still missing some pieces. So I think in the next couple of years, if Sam Darnold can find a consistency and they can start to bring in some more pieces, they're going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially if he stays healthy, Christian McCaffrey stays healthy. Mm-hmm. He has Robbie Anderson, who he's comfortable with.
Yeah, I love Robbie Anderson.
Previous Jets, so they like know how each other, you know, how they work, how they play. So I think that it could be a very solid team. And I think I was reading an article yesterday or today, and Matt Rule was apparently really nervous because he didn't know how Sam Darnold was going to react to like the Jets defense. And he was like, he did so good. Like, he was composed, and he was just like, you know, still like respective of his old team. And I was like, Sam Darnold is like really just, he's pure.
He is.
I mean, we don't know how he got mono, but that's beside the point. But he, I don't know how pure he is in that sense, but in football sense, very pure.
Yes. And he just seems like a total like Cali boy, like very go with the flow. Yeah, no, I'm a big Sam Darnold fan.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the good news is that we have a very solid transition here to move to the other side of the ball, which is Zach Wilson. And we'll go over the rookie quarterback performances from yesterday. So Zach Wilson tried so hard.
He really did.
He left it out on the field, in my opinion. I think that the Jets receivers were not there for him. I don't think his offensive line was there for him. He was scrambling all over the place, but he did his best.
Yes.
I think that's the best way to say that.
And I have a feeling, unfortunately, that's how this season is going to look for him, because overall he is a good quarterback and he's proved that. And I think he's going to find his groove a little bit more once he gets more comfortable with the pace of the NFL. Yeah. But unfortunately the Jets they were so bad, like bottom of the barrel, had nothing. Unfortunately, had a major injury as well, which is never want to see, but they brought in a great head coach. Now you have a good quarterback. It's going to take them time to figure it out. And I think they're going to, but I have a feeling this season we are going to see good performances from Zach Wilson. I think he's going to keep leaving it out there, but I just don't think as a team, they're going to be able to get wins yet, which is unfortunate, but moving in the right direction, which is all you can ask for.
Absolutely. And Zach Wilson really, like, I think a lot of people were concerned about whether or not he was going to fit with the Jets. And like Robert Saleh is obviously a defensive minded coach. Like they didn't know how he was going to come out in the first game, but he showed us in preseason that he was fairly good. And a lot of people say, well, that's preseason, you know, we can't always go by it. But this game really proved to me that Zach Wilson is there to play. He is there with his heart just out and ready to go. Like even though he threw an interception, I don't think it was all of his fault. I think that
and like they're rookies. They are going to make rookie mistakes.
Obviously. Yeah. And I think that for your first game, even though it was a loss, I think he played very, very well in his first ever NFL game. Like to think about like this Panthers defense actually was very, very good and was pressuring him left and right. And for him to still perform under all of that pressure was very telling.
Yeah. And as much Obviously, I feel like the pressure was not even pressure, but the storyline, it fed more into Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson playing the Jets. But at the end, on the other end of it, you have Zach Wilson going up against the guy that you literally filled the shadow for. So it's still, I bet there was nerves for him too. He was like, I don't want Sam Darnold, who they just let go of, to come in and make a fool out of me. Like, that wouldn't be fun. And I don't think that, yes, the Panthers got the upper hand, but Zach Wilson looked great. So it was a win for him on a personal level.
Absolutely. And what's going to be interesting is that next week, the Jets play the Patriots. So, which will lead us into our next rookie quarterback, which is Mack Jones. Michael McCorkle Jones, as I will literally refer to him for the rest of his life. Not Mac Jones, but
Mac and cheese, Big Mac.
Big Mac, mac and cheese. He lost to his former teammate, Tua Tagovailoa, in a 1-point game. Very, very close. But I think that he came out with the passion, but didn't leave it out on the field as Zach Wilson did. I don't know. I think he had a hard time in the red zone, and it was just a little bit of a struggle. I don't know.
Yeah, I am also, and I think you're on the same page with me here, I'm not totally sold on the Mac Jones train. I think he's a good quarterback, but I could easily see him just having an average career. And who knows, like, it's Belichick that's there with him. So maybe he can bring the best out of him. If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Belichick. But I'm just not totally sold on him. And I think we saw that yesterday. And granted, the Patriots went out and spent $150,000 kajillion badillion dollars to build up their team in this offseason. And I'm just not very sold. And this was divisional too, which makes it crazy. I took the Dolphins. I was 100% riding the Tua train just because I wasn't feeling it. And it was close. It was closer than I expected it to be. But I'm just not sold. I need to see more from Mac Jones in order to be like, yep, Patriots did the right thing, releasing Cam before the season. And I'm 100% sold that he's their long-term guy. Because right now I'm not.
Yeah. I will be the devil's advocate here and say that he went up against one of the toughest defenses in the league, much less in his division, like in the league. This was a very hard defense to start your NFL career on, but also you should be learning from that. And while maybe, like, we'll see next time they play the Dolphins, maybe it'll be a much different game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, because it was so close. It was, it could have gone either way there. But I think that he converts third downs pretty well. But once he gets into the red zone, I think he starts to freak out a little bit. I think he's just like, oh my God, I have to score. Oh my God, I have to score. And then just doesn't score.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem is. Like, they, but again, first game of the season.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't knock them for being rookies. Like, they're going to make rookie mistakes. It's a big adjustment. So I'll give him that. I'm not totally like out on him. I just need a lot more convincing before I'm totally on the train.
We are also, both of us, I know, are very like, we just don't know how we feel about Mac Jones, like, as a person.
Yeah.
Like, we're both a little like,
the substitute teacher walk going into the draft. I was like, you know what? No, I'm out on you.
It was the smugness of his face for me. I didn't like that he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to the Patriots. I'm like, relax. Okay, buddy, just take it easy. But we'll see. Well, if Belichick can turn him into this amazing quarterback like he did with Tom Brady. Not saying that Mac Jones is Tom Brady before anybody starts making those assumptions. Not saying that at all. But, if, like you said, if there's anybody that's going to turn him into a solid quarterback, it's going to be Bill. Which, did you realize he was wearing a wedding ring?
Bill was wearing a wedding ring?
I think he got married to his longtime girlfriend, like, on the DL.
Maybe that's why he was having such a fun off season. He's like, you know what? I'm a husband now.
Literally, I was like standing there and like I saw him like with the ring on his finger and I was like, wait a second. And then I noticed that people noticed it in the preseason, which I really wasn't paying attention to Patriots in the preseason that much. So I didn't notice it, but I was like, look at Bill out here tying the knot.
He's growing.
His
heart grew 3 sizes too big.
Yeah, maybe he is a little bit vulnerable. Like, And he's older too. Maybe I was expecting him never to get married, but
yeah.
Apparently there he
I
is.
love that for him.
Oh, Bill. Good for you, buddy. And the last rookie quarterback performance I have here to go over is Trevor Lawrence, who obviously first pick of the draft. I would have been so surprised if he played the way that he played in college in this game. I would have been like, this is insane. Like, he would have been like the most miraculous golden boy of all time. Like, he played the way that I expected him to play.
Especially coming into a team that is he is the rebuild, and they're going to rebuild around him. So this is a broken team that has a lot of work to do. I don't love the Urban Meyer hire, and I didn't mean to rhyme like that. That was unintentional. I don't love him for them. The fact that he wasn't utilizing James Robinson at all, there's just a lot of stuff about him and the way he's working this team that rubs me the wrong way. So I think this could be a very long season for Trevor Lawrence, but I'm not nervous for him long-term. I think he is going to have an exceptional NFL career. I just think it's going to be a rocky start. And it's insane to me. That was his first regular season loss ever. Out of high school and college ever. I was like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Was I wonder if losing, because the Jaguars are going to lose more games. They're not going to win the next all of the games of the season for the rest of the season. So what I'm interested to see is how losing affects Trevor's performance, because it's either going to make him so almost I don't know if he's gonna be angry, but so motivated to make sure the team wins, or it's gonna be I've never experienced this before and I don't know how to deal with my emotions and just start panicking.
Yes. I have a feeling with the way he carries himself, he feels very humble, and it's he doesn't know. I'm sure he knows, but he never talks about how good he is. He's confident, but not he feels very humble. And I have a feeling, and this might just be wishful thinking, I don't know if the losing is going to get to him, and I really hope it doesn't. I have a feeling he's going to be all right, I think he's going to be able to read all of it with a sane mind and be all right, this is the team I'm on. It's going to take us a while to figure it out, but I want to figure it out. So I really hope it doesn't get to him too much, because it could easily. And a lot of other quarterbacks, I think it would, but I feel pretty confident that he's going to be okay.
Yeah. And I don't think it was all of his fault. There was a lot of dropped passes. He threw 3 interceptions, but I think that it wasn't just Trevor Lawrence just did bad. I think the whole Jaguars offense just was not good.
Nobody could figure it out. And it's understandable. I'm hoping they can get a couple wins this season. I'd say 3 or 4 wins, and that would be great.
Yeah. I think that'll be solid. And then I think once that happens, and then the off season, and he gets that first rookie year out of the way, he is going to have a good NFL career. It's
absolutely
just when it's going to start. That's
exactly.
Yeah. So it's
praying for him.
Yeah, we want him to do well, and I'm still on the French braid train. I still want him to French braid his hair for games. Jordyn and I talked about that on the Brew Party podcast in the off season, and I keep thinking about it every time I see him. He puts his hair down and flips it up, and I'm
we need to French braid it.
I'm oh my God, I just want to braid it. And I can feel I can smell his shampoo when he does that.
He probably smells really good.
He probably does.
I feel Marissa would not let him not smell good. I'm also, they're the presidential couple in my eye. I just love them.
Oh, they are the emperor and empress of Florida right now.
Yeah.
They are just running the show.
Yeah. And I'm such a fan.
I know. She's so cute. She posted on Instagram and she was just I'm so excited to see what he does in his future and this and that. And
she is just so pure. And I was I want to be your friend. I just want to be friends with her.
Yeah. And I literally pointed, they showed her on the stands, and I pointed her out and I went, oh, there's Trevor Lawrence's wife. And my dad was wife? How old is he? Isn't he 20? And I was I don't know. I think he's 21, 22.
Yeah.
But I was I don't know, they've been dating since they were like infants.
Yeah.
They've been dating forever. So yeah, get married. Bank on that money, man.
He probably was like, listen, I love you. Let's just do this now. So then I can just focus on football. And she was probably like, okay.
Yeah, why not? And their wedding was beautiful.
It was perfect. Gorgeous. That's like my dream wedding too.
It was just, everything about it was beautiful. But anyway, we can't delve into that. We do not have the time or the mental capacity to break down.
We could have a whole episode on just their wedding.
Just their wedding. And as Jordyn and I have said many, many, many times, we share one brain cell. So if we start picking apart that, like, our brain cell will just die. So
yeah, no, it'll combust. Football.
Now I want to talk about the teams that we expected to win and didn't win.
Yes.
So let's start off with the Packers. So obviously we talked about the Saints and how well they did and that this was not a fluke and this was a game that they won, which I agree with. This was the third worst opener in franchise history for the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers had a 36.8 passer rating, which is the fourth worst in his career. One of those in which he was playing with a concussion. So that just goes to show how horrible he was playing in this game. A lot of people were expecting Mr. Aaron to come out into this game with full force after this offseason. What were your thoughts after watching this dumpster fire for the Packers?
I was left speechless and not in the good way. I could not even believe what I was watching. And it honestly felt like Aaron Rodgers wasn't even trying. And we know like how fired up he gets and how mad he gets. I didn't even see that side of him. So part of me is like, is he just like done? Like, but at the end of the day, I don't think he would have come back to not try. So
right. Yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah. So maybe he was just like, I'm going to go out there and not give any effort and see where we're at and then just kind of like reevaluate after. But it was painful to watch, especially when he was just like lofting the interceptions that he had looked like he was just directly throwing it to the Saints defense. Like it wasn't even anywhere close. Like
no.
It was really something. I was one of the people that was like, oh my God, Aaron Rodgers is going to come out looking for blood. Everyone should be afraid. He's going to put up 100 points. Yeah. I was like, I'm scared to see Aaron Rodgers on his revenge tour. Aaron Rodgers didn't even show up to his own revenge tour. So
he forgot.
He forgot why he was there. He was like, oh, we're not in preseason. Like,
yeah, no.
So I think this was a fluke. I still think the Packers are going to be good once Aaron Rodgers wants them to be good. I think also this could have been maybe him showing them like this is what your team would look like with an average quarterback.
Oh, that's so petty.
But he would so do that.
Yeah,
he'd be like, I can take a loss. I'm one of the greatest of all times, even if with one of the crappiest games of my career. Let me show you what you asked for when you want to go out and get a quarterback that isn't me. So he played like any average old doodle out there and just got run over by the Saints. Yep. And maybe next week, he'll come out and be like, all right, this is me. Let me show you what you would have missed. Which I would not put it past the evil manipulator that he is.
Well, they are playing the Lions next week.
I know, but it's divisional. That scares me.
So it's divisional. Yeah, that's like, it's going to be interesting to see because any other day of the week, you'd be like, the Lions losing. But then you combine this week's Packers performance with this week's Lions performance, and you're like, oh, crap. Like, what's going to happen?
The tides are turning.
The tides are turning, and I'm a little bit afraid for the Packers. But it wasn't just Aaron Rodgers. The receivers were just like, where were you? Did you guys show up either? Devontae Adams was just like not around. Robert Tonyan was dropping passes. Marcus Valdes-Scantling only had 3 catches for 17 yards. Like where were you guys? Like, were you guys going to show up too? And you guys got Randall Cobb in the offseason. I didn't even see Randall Cobb.
I didn't see him once. I was like, okay, fair.
Wasn't that the whole point of like getting him, was to be like, oh my God, we're going to be so good. We're going to be like the golden years again. Like, what the heck? I just don't know.
I have a feeling I'm going to take the Packers week 2 primetime against the Lions. Even if I set myself up for failure, in my mind, there's no way they look like that a second time.
Oh yeah. No.
If they do, then I think it's time to worry. But for right now, I'm not going to stress about it too much. I kind of just want to wipe it from my memory and forget it ever happened.
Seeing Aaron Rodgers on the sidelines and Jordan Love in the game,
he was benched,
flipped me out. I was like, what simulation am I in right now?
Yeah, no. I texted my mom and she was like, oh, did he get hurt? And I was like, no,
he just,
and she was like, no, he has to be hurt. And I was like, no. And that's when we were like, oh, like this is happening.
It also doesn't help that the Packers defense still sucks too.
Yep.
Like they were horrible last year and they're horrible again this year.
Yep.
Like that doesn't help either. So, and at least last year they were winning games because Aaron Rodgers is so good.
I'm telling you, he came out and put 30% effort into that game. And was like, now let me show you what you would have been missing. I'm telling you, this is a mind game on Aaron Rodgers' end.
And these are Super Bowl contenders here. And you did not put one touchdown on the board.
I had them winning the Super Bowl. I had in my weekly pick'ems, you have to do a tiebreaker. And the tiebreaker question was, which team is going to put up the most points this week? And my dumbass said the Packers. I was like, Aaron Rodgers is going to throw for 900 touchdowns.
Well, to be fair, the next team that we're going to talk about is my Super Bowl pick. And that's the Buffalo Bills, which made me look like Bobo the Clown out there. My brother's
we're in this together, sis.
You guys know, Jordan knows my brother's a Steelers fan. And he kept saying to me all week, he goes, we'll see if the Bills win. We'll see. And I'm like, shut up. Like the Bills are going to win. I'm sitting there like waiting for him to come home from work, like covering my face. Like, please don't look at me. Please don't look at me. The Bills really, they made me nervous in this game. But my thought process here is that this is going to fuel them and they are going to come back and they're going to be like, there is no way we are getting exposed again.
Yeah.
No way. So I know how Josh Allen is. Like we're friends. Like Josh Allen and I talk all the time. I know how he is. Like, I just have a feeling that he's going to be like, we need to come out now. People are expecting us to play a certain way and we have to play that way. So that's what I'm hoping happens. But the Bills really disappointed me.
Yeah, they really disappointed me too. And I agree that I think they're going to be fine for the rest of the season. I wouldn't take a week 1 loss and be like, oh my God, we're doomed.
Yeah.
I do think though that they are going 0-2 before they get it together. I have a feeling this week, especially it's a divisional game. They're going up against Miami. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling they're going to be shaken up after, because nobody expected that. Nobody.
Right.
I have a feeling the Dolphins are going to get their upper hand. And then after this week, then they're just going to go on a tear. I can still see them easily winning 13, 14 games this season. But I am leaning with that. The Bills are going to start 0-2.
Oh my God. I think the only person on the Bills that performed spectacular was the kicker.
Yeah.
He was just like kicking field goals, like doing his thing.
He's like, all right, I'll try and hold us through.
Yeah. And I was like, look at somebody who's doing their job. Good for you.
It's not that hard, guys.
Literally. And come on, Josh, you just got all that money. Like you just got paid so much money. Go to the Super Bowl, please. Please. Yeah. For the love of God. That would make me feel so much better.
No, I agree. And I want that for them. I have my Super Bowl prediction. It's ironic that we're talking about them back to back. I have the Packers playing the Bills in the Super Bowl, and they both just got embarrassed in week 1. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, frick, what do we do now?
My God. Yeah, no, this is stressful. Also, other than COVID, Cole Beasley needs to learn how to catch a ball.
Yup. You talk all this smack on Twitter.
If you're gonna catch something, catch a ball. Come on, buddy. We got to step up here.
No, that was iconic.
I'm sorry.
And it's right. It's right.
That was mean.
I agree.
It was mean, but it's true.
It's so true.
But the Bills are, I have a feeling, like you're saying, like they're going to come out and they're going to win like a ton of games.
Yes.
But next week will definitely be very telling for everybody what's going to go down with this. And the last team here that we were a bit surprised was the Titans. And the Titans, I think that there's like a little bit of animosity in this offense. I think Julio Jones being mixed in here is like just came in like I'm the star now. And I think that there's like a little bit of like rub back in a little ways. That's just what it seems like from the outside to me. But I don't know.
It just feels like they were very confused. And I think what the Cardinals did very well was stopping Derrick Henry. And I think if you can get the Titans to that point where Derrick Henry can't run the ball, they get flustered and they don't know what to do. So I think the Cardinals just got their upper hand. And you're right. It does feel like there's a little bit of this, is AJ Brown our guy or is Julio our guy? And they seemed like pissed all throughout the game. Like they were frustrated and no one really knew what was going on. So I don't know if this is just a week one, like brushing off the cobwebs, like trying to figure out how we're going to mesh well together, or if the Titans are really in this place now where they don't know who they are and it's setting them up for a super weird year. I don't know. I think it's too early to make that call, but it wouldn't shock me if we see them fall back, considering they've been playoff teams the last 2 seasons.
I know that Julio Jones got a personal foul penalty in this game, and I know Vrabel was pissed off. Like he like leaned into it and was like completely just went off on Julio Jones. So that is not the best way to start out your season. It's yelling at your brand new receivers. So
who's one of the greatest receivers of all time.
Right. So just,
yikes
is right. Yikes is right for the Titans. But I'm interested to see what ends up happening for this season because I have them winning that division. Like I was expecting them to win this division. So to start off 0-1 is a very not promising.
Granted, the Texans are first in that division right now.
Well, let's just take a step back there for a second. Okay. Texans are a bit of a dumpster fire. I think they got lucky yesterday, but that's just me.
I just wasn't expecting that at all because I was like, yeah, Jags lost to the Texans, Colts lost, and the Titans lost. So Texans are sitting at number 1 right now. Ew.
What's going to be so funny is if they end up going like 16-1 or like 1-16.
Pulling exactly what the Jags did last year.
Right. Everybody was like, whoa. And then you're like, no. A game that we have not even talked about at all yet, which I'm very excited to talk about, is the Browns and the Chiefs. Because, oh my God, what a start for Cleveland. Like, I know they didn't win this game, but oh my God, this in my mind was like, they're going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're going to the playoffs. This was a rematch from the playoffs.
It was.
And they did so good.
If they were playing any other team with any other quarterback other than Patrick Mahomes, granted, maybe unless they were playing the Bucs, they would have had that game in the bag. The Browns did not lose that game. The Chiefs just did what the Chiefs do, and they came back and won. There was nothing all right, I shouldn't say that. The interception at the end to kind of solidify, that sucked, but that was just the Chiefs like being stepping up. Like it was unfortunate. And like, I'm not a fan of Baker Mayfield. So for me to sit here and like not knock Baker Mayfield at all is a big deal. Like this is groundbreaking information. I
heard it here first, people.
I'm nervous. No, I'm starting to come around more. This was a team I like consistently rooted against. And now I'm kind of like, all right, you guys are, just because I think they're finally finding like an identity. They needed culture, like they needed a vibe. And I think they're getting themselves into that group where they're all working together. It's not a bunch of divas anymore, all out there. Like it feels more like a team. even without OBJ. So that's, I think, what they were missing. They stepped up their defense immensely. The Browns are a team I'd be nervous about to play against.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, like that interception at the end, I think was what kind of like brought the offense down just a notch. Otherwise, the offense in this game did so good. They were phenomenal, but they couldn't finish that game. And I think that's the issue. And that's how they lost last year to the Chiefs as well.
Yeah.
So it's very important for them to finish their games, because if they do, they're winning. Yeah. Like they are 100% winning their games. And obviously OBJ was mysteriously not active, which I thought was really weird. When I heard that, I was like, isn't he like recovered by now? Like everybody else who had an ACL tear last year is playing in today's game. Like, what is the difference? And the fact that they played this good without him, if I were the Browns, as someone who had OBJ on their team, get rid of him. Get rid of him. Save the money. Get a new, or even the receiver who came in for him. I think it was Anthony Schwartz. Phenomenal. Yeah. Fantastic. You don't need him. You don't need him to win.
No, they are completely fine without OBJ. And think of how many teams could actually use him. And at this point, I think would be desperate enough to pay a little bit more than they normally would have to get him, especially now that we've seen week 1. If I'm the Browns, I'm like, because this is what OBJ does. And I keep saying this. He comes in and he's the guy that Baker goes to in like the big moments, but he's not the consistent receiver that he is going to in every, not even in every play, in every drive. Like he's not present throughout. Like he's not the number one guy that you rely on throughout the whole game. He's someone that in the big moments when you can make it happen, he's there. But they proved yesterday against one of, if not the best team in the entire league, that they do not need him. So I think that was all they needed to kind of close the door and be like, all right, let's listen to some offers.
Sorry, my mom's trying to open the door.
It's okay. My dog came in at one point too. I had to close the door.
No, it's totally fine. But yeah, the OBJ thing, I agree with you. He is totally just, I really just think that, people would pay money for him. People would do that because he has this elite status, even though he really isn't that elite. It's almost like buying a name brand thing for the name. Like you're buying the name of OBJ. Like that's all you're doing. But like, there's not too much there anymore. I don't know. It's weird.
It's literally like going to Lululemon and spending $100 on leggings, or going to Marshalls and TJ Maxx and getting their leggings that people mistake for Lululemons all the time and spending $12 on them. So if you can save $88, save $88.
Yeah, exactly. It's so dumb. But one of the main things also with the Browns was that special teams blunder with the punter, who ended up like he fumbled the ball in his hands and he didn't punt the ball, and then he ran with it. And then it was atrocious. It was just not a good look for them. So they definitely have to work on their special teams. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes is going to Patrick Mahomes, and that's how they ended up winning this game. But the Browns, Super Bowl contenders, ? Contenders.
They, in my mind, they take this division, especially with all of the Ravens injuries right now. If I would not be shocked if we see the Browns in the Super Bowl. Like we can't count them out.
Because like I can picture if the Browns have to play the Bills, if they played week 1 Bills, they'd beat them.
Oh yeah.
And they almost beat this Chiefs. Like if they ended up playing them again, like let's say in the AFC Championship game, it's very possible.
They could get their upper hand. Absolutely.
So Baker Mayfield, man. Oh,
Baker Mayfield in the Super Bowl. What?
I would cry. Actually,
then he deserves commercials. Then I will shut up about if Baker.
You don't like his commercials?
Damn, no, I don't. Just They're because
so cute.
He hasn't. I see him on my TV all of the time, and I'm like, bruh, you have barely been able to do anything. Get off my TV. Now it's a different story because He is starting, made it to the playoffs last season. The Browns are looking very good. He is looking very good. So I have to start shutting my mouth a little bit and being like, all right, you deserve it. But for a while, I was like, get the frick off my TV when your team can't even win enough games. Get out of here. That was my mindset. I'm sorry. I know that hurts you. I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, I understand. It's the one man that we don't agree on, but
no, it's like the only thing.
I think that his progressive commercials are so funny. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like looking at him. Maybe that's why, but I think that they're so funny. When I saw that on Thursday Night Football, I was like, oh, another Baker commercial.
Wait, did you see the Tom Brady Subway commercial?
The Subway one? I don't know. I don't think so. I saw the crypto commercial.
You have to pull it up because it was like he's like spread and they're like, you don't even eat bread, Tom, because
yes,
yeah.
They're like, why do you have this? Like, you probably don't even eat Subway.
It was so funny. Frick, now I really want Subway.
Oh, that's so
funny. Tom Brady can sell me things.
His crypto commercial is funny though, with him and Giselle.
Oh yeah.
That's like,
that's funny.
He calls up the bartender in New England and they're like, we don't want you back, Tom. And he was like, yes, you do. And they were like, yeah, we do. What do you want? Yeah. Like, it's cute. It's cute. We love commercials.
I can't wait for, speaking of that real quick, I don't want to go on a whole nother thing, but week 4, Tom Brady back in Foxborough. Lay my body to rest.
Just lay me down. Yeah. That's where I will die. Do you think, this question was proposed to me and I'll propose it to you. Do you think New England is going to boo Tom Brady?
I don't think so. I think he gets a standing ovation.
I don't think so. People were saying like, yeah, he's going to get booed. I'm like, he gave them 6 Super Bowls. That'd be very disrespectful if they booed him.
I think when he first left, everyone was like hurt just because they wanted him. But at the end of the day, I do understand 100% why he left. And it's just, especially after what he was able to do, like on his first season in a new team to go and win another Super Bowl. It's like, you can't deny how incredible he is. And I think at this point, it's been long enough where they can respect him again and they understand it. And I think every single person in that stadium stands up.
Absolutely.
In week 4.
I would think so for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get into some choices for week 2, we're going to go over 3 of our favorite games that we're excited for next week. There's one more thing we have to talk about.
Okay.
It's the thing I've been dreading this entire time. And that's the NFC East.
Okay.
Because I am sad. I am disappointed. I am just completely and utterly in shambles and in pain over my Giants. However, the Eagles looked very good against the Falcons. So I want to hear your side because obviously I don't want to say anything that makes me feel even more bad, but I know that you're an Eagles fan. So I want to hear what you thought of their performance because I do think that they looked phenomenal. Jalen Hurts came out here. Jalen Hurts definitely bulked up.
Oh, yeah.
He looked so big on top. Like, I was like, oh, okay.
He squats 700 pounds.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. It might have been 600. Maybe it was 600.
But
it's
still a lot.
It's still an insane number. Like, that man is
yoked up. Both my dad and I were sitting there and I was like, that man is big. Like, he was not that size last year.
No, he literally, when I tell you, he came in and he took over like this whole offseason, the way I saw him handling the team. And every time I heard him speak, I was like, wow, like he really is a leader. Hearing teammates talk about him, hearing the coaches talk about him, I was so sold on him, like being a leader for us. And I was like, all right, now I just got to see how he plays on the field. And Lord Almighty, he was phenomenal. The one thing that he had to work on was throwing the ball up the middle. Everyone was saying Jalen Hurts isn't going to be able to throw. All he is a mobile quarterback. He threw a frick ton beautifully. I'm pretty sure he had I think it was over 250 yards.
I don't have the stats in front of me, but that sounds about right.
I think in my group chat, I'm pretty sure he hit 250 yards, which is just insane. And there were some crazy statistics about him from this game. And for that to only be his 5th NFL start, he just looked so comfortable and he knew this team and it just outstanding performance. Our offense was I really have no complaints. Like, I just think for that to be, we're rebuilding literally.
Right.
So for that to be our first game to come out and look that put together, it makes me super excited to just see how well they're going to continue to grow and understand each other. The one thing that I didn't love, our run defense. Atlanta was running all over us, and for some reason, our red zone defense has always been great. If we could just play like we did in the red zone all over the field, they wouldn't have been able to put up any points or get any yardage. Granted, I'm not going to complain about the score. I'm very happy with how we looked, but I still think there's a little bit of work to do there. But my God, that was the most fun I've had watching the Eagles in years. And it honestly, I'm not sitting here claiming that the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl at all. I still think we have work to do.
Yeah.
Even though I did text you that
You
was
did.
just me being excited. But I did. This team reminds me of 2017 Super Bowl Eagles. So I love everything about it, and it makes me feel a lot more comfortable going into this season.
I genuinely had such low expectations for the Eagles.
Oh, same.
I was expecting them to not look at all like they did in this game. I was barely expecting them to put points on the board. So I am one to talk because my Giants looked god awful. And I think overall the Giants, there's some offensive people like Sterling Shepard and Devontae Booker who was going on and off with Saquon. And I think Saquon's still a little bit nervous to play, which is part of the reason why he really didn't look that good. But overall, the Giants really were not fantastic. And what are your, as an outsider, what were you seeing from the Giants? And if there's any sort of potential out of the rest of the season with them?
I
be as honest as possible. It's totally okay.
And I know we already talked about this privately. I think it's frustrating, and I fully get from an unbiased person. If I was a Giants fan, I would be so frustrated because when you look at your actual roster,
it's good.
It's not close to bad. Like, there's so much worse. The problem I think you are having is I don't trust your head coach and I don't trust your quarterback. And if those two pieces aren't working, it's going to be hard to make anything happen. So I don't know if this season there's hope unless, like, granted, it's week 1. We don't have to totally freak out yet, even though I did tweet that they should go out and sign Cam Newton.
I know, that gave me a heart attack.
It just seems like no one's really on the same page. And when you get Daniel Jones throwing the deep ball, like, that's where he does well. And it just didn't seem like they were like suiting to anyone's strengths. And it just felt off. And going against the Broncos, like, I feel a lot of people took the Giants. Like, I feel like that was a game you could have won. I'm not even going to say should have, because I feel like the Broncos and the Giants are on. Though. You easily could have.
Yes.
So it is upsetting. I think it's going to be a long season unless Joe Judge and Daniel Jones can figure something out.
I'm mostly concerned about Jason Garrett as our offensive coordinator, because I don't know why he doesn't let Daniel Jones unleash, because the kid's got an arm. He really does. Yes. Like, I don't understand why we're not throwing the ball like all the time. I guess because Saquon's back, but even still, like, Saquon is a little bit nervous to come back off his injury. Like, it's very noticeable. Also, our offensive line just is. I can't even like process emotions about that. I was so mad yesterday. I was literally like, I don't even want to watch this anymore. I forced myself to, but I was like, this is awful. And I did not enjoy any minute of it.
I texted you because there are times throughout the season where, like, the Eagles look crappy and the Giants look, and we can like mess with each other and like joke about it. And I was like, I literally texted Sam and I was like, I love you.
Yes.
Like, I was like, I'm
okay. Just, and I was like,
I'm sending you a hug because you deserve it after that.
Every once in a while, Jordyn and I put aside our team differences and just show affection towards one another, because it's the friendship for me.
It's the friendship.
But The interesting part of the NFC East that isn't the Giants or the Eagles is that Washington lost Ryan Fitzpatrick. And that's a big blow. Taylor Heineke is coming into the mix here. He will be playing against the Giants on Thursday Night Football. Here's my question for you. Do they pick up Cam? Ron Rivera obviously has past relations.
Oh, yeah.
So in my opinion, I don't think it's a good idea, but I don't know if they're going to do it or not.
I think they're going to give, so they confirmed Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be out for multiple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a feeling they're going to see how Heineke plays this week, next week, maybe throw Kyle Allen in the mix a little bit if Taylor Heineke isn't living up to expectations. I don't think they're going to do anything immediately. But I also think they're going to wait to see, because especially with the Carson Wentz injury, you're given 5 to 12 weeks and then you're back week 1 and looking fairly healthy.
Right.
So I think it's going to be a week or two of just kind of judging the situation and seeing where they're at, trying to just rely on that defense, which I really think can carry them. And then seeing where they're at. And if they don't like where they're at and it's really bad, then I think there is a chance that they go out and get Cam, but I don't think it's going to happen right away.
Yeah, no, I just don't think Cam's going to fit with that team at all.
No. And I feel like Ron Rivera is just ready to make a name for himself and be on a team without Cam. But can you imagine too? Kyle Allen was on the Panthers. It would literally be the three of them back together again.
And the thing was too, Kyle Allen and Cam Newton were both on the market at the same time when Ron went to Washington, and he did not pick up Cam. He picked up Kyle Allen. So it's very interesting, but I know Cam adores Ron Rivera and he would probably do anything to be on that team, but I just don't.
I bet he is sending Ron Rivera flowers every single day.
I know.
Do you remember me?
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
Remember me? I could be on your team. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see our first NFC East matchup on Thursday. I am mentally preparing myself and expecting the worst. But one more thing before week 2, our two men in our lives, Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow, won. And I just want to throw it out there that they are amazing. And I see your Justin Herbert jersey in the background because we love him.
Herbie fully loaded.
I love that.
Thank you.
But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there because those are our two guys. So, Joe, 5 sacks. Just want to throw that out there. Jamar Chase, okay.
Yeah.
I will admit that was a solid pickup, but your offensive line still allowed Joey B to be on the floor 5 times. So,
and I will emphasize this, and I've made this statement time and time again. I'm not going to I'm not letting it go anywhere. Joe Burrow is a fantastic quarterback. Any good receiver that you have out there would have been fine. And then he wouldn't have been hitting the ground 5 times.
Yep.
So yeah, Jamar Chase is great. But if Joe Burrow gets injured again, I will never forgive this organization.
Nope. I will be beside myself, to be quite honest with you. But he looked great in overtime.
Great.
So excited for the Bengals to come out with a 1-0 season. Same with Chargers. I'm super stoked for Justin Herbert and that he was able to come out with a win. But yeah, sending love to both of our J names. The only 2 J names that I will ever just ignore the J name rule.
Yep.
But week 2. So I asked you to pick just 3 games that you are most excited about for next week. And why don't you give me your predictions and why you are excited about those games?
Okay. So the first one that I'm excited about, and this is super biased, but I have to go with Eagles 49ers, just because Eagles going up. The Falcons are a team that are kind of in that boat of are they good? Are they bad? No, we know they're not great, but are they middle of the line or are they just terrible? So I'm glad we blew them out, but I want to see us up against a real team, up against a real defense, if we are able to make some noise. And honestly, after the hype train that we just got off of, we're playing at home. I'm honestly taking the Eagles here for some reason, we just consistently beat the 49ers.
Okay.
And with how many offensive weapons we have with a mobile quarterback, I just think that we're going to be able to get around this defense. And the 49ers offense up against our defense doesn't scare me that much. So granted, their top running back just went down. And the main issue that we had was our run game. So if they're not running as much, we can stop their receivers. We can stop Kittle. We have it in the bag. So that's my optimistic hot take. Eagles over the 49ers. Another game that I'm very excited about. This is one that we talked about a little bit. Bills versus Dolphins. Dolphins already got one divisional win. This is a team I would love to see in the playoffs. If they could come out and be 2-0 against division rivals, that is a huge way to kickstart the season, especially that's another super competitive division minus the Jets. Sorry.
Right.
And it's going to be super telling of the Bills. Are they in this kind of, I don't want to say sophomore slump, but it kind of is because last year was the first year where they were real contenders and we saw them being the best of the best. So are they kind of in this off period, or was it just a fluky week one and now they come out and look like the Bills? I'm just totally going with the hot takes right now. I'm going with Dolphins over the Bills. I think they're going to be shaken up. And the Dolphins are going to start off 2-0. Bills start off 0-2. That isn't me saying I'm worried for the Bills this season, though. I still think they're going to end up being totally fine. I still think they're a Super Bowl team, but I think they were shaken off the wagon, and week 3 is when they'll get back on. My third game. Dun, 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 dun. There's so many that I could pick. I'm going to go with Raiders Steelers though. And we haven't seen, thank you. We haven't seen Raiders yet this season, but I'm excited to watch them play. And I've been making the hot take all off season that Darren Waller is going to be tight end number 1 this season. And on the day we're recording this, it is his birthday. So happy birthday to my king. I love you. And I still, granted, like I said, we haven't seen them this season, but they always have this like really hot start and then they kind of fizzle out, and they started making moves to their defense, which is what they really needed to do because their defense has been awful the last couple of years. And the Steelers, I really want to see if I'm on the train that their game wasn't a fluke. They are real contenders. They are the real deal. So I really want to see them come out and just dominate, and I would like to see it against the Raiders. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. And out of my 3 that I ended up choosing, one of them is Bills Dolphins. Yes. Mostly because I want to see how the Bills go up against another like really strong defense. And like you were saying, like see if they're going to, end up winning, losing. I'll just pick the opposite side here and I'll go with the Bills, that they are fueled and ready to go in this game. And but it is going to be a solid game because it's division and it's going to be great. My other choice is Titans Seahawks because of the fact that, first of all, we did not really mention Russell Wilson in this episode, but oh my God. Unbelievable. Just absolutely spectacular. Every time he threw the ball, I went,
it was beautiful. And I had Tyler Lockett, one of my fantasy teams, and I was just like, thank you.
Oh, gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. Everything was just perfect. And I think that the Titans are going to fall into a little bit of a hole here, and I'm going to go with the Seahawks, but it'll be interesting to see if the Titans can make any sort of comeback. And my last pick here is Chiefs Ravens, because every time Lamar versus the Chiefs, he loses.
Yep.
So it'll be very interesting to see how the Ravens end up going. I probably am going to go with the Chiefs just because it's the Chiefs, but if Lamar ends up coming out and like actually beating them, but there's so many injuries on the Ravens.
It's so sad.
It's really upsetting, but that's always a good game. Chiefs Ravens is always good and they always put up such a fight, but Patrick Mahomes always comes out on top. It's a yearly thing at this point. But that's some of my week 2 stuff. We have a lot of good games next week.
Oh, I thought week 1 was hard, but now that we've had week 1 and we've seen how everyone's played one game
and so many underdogs.
Week 2, yeah. I'm like, now, because you don't know who's actually bad and you don't know who's actually good. So I'm like, what am I supposed to make of this? Like, are the Packers going to get blown out by the Lions in prime time? Like,
who's to say?
Yeah. Like at this point, I don't know, which is scary.
Yeah, no, it's going to be this whole season, I think, is going to be very interesting. I'm
so excited.
Oh my goodness. We have such a ride ahead of us, such an emotional roller coaster. But Jordyn, I want to thank you so much for once again coming on my show, talking to me about football, because you are my favorite person to talk football with, like, in the whole world. But thank you so much for coming on this week. I really, really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for having me. I love doing this. I love our therapy sessions, just because other than Baker Mayfield, even though I'm being nicer this season, I'm being nicer this season.
You're being significantly nicer this season.
Okay.
She's usually just like she's like always rolling her eyes about
I like won't even talk about it. I'm like, I hate him. But no, I'm coming around. I'm getting on the train, whatever. I don't want to admit that yet. But no, thank you so much. I love having our little therapy sessions because you get me, and I just can't wait for week 2 now.
It's going to be fantastic. But why don't you give everybody your socials and everything one more time before we head out?
Yeah, so you guys can find me everywhere, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at the SportyJordy. My YouTube is SportyJordy, and I co-host a podcast called Onside Chicks. You can find us on YouTube and Twitch. Our Twitter handle for that is at Onside Chicks Pod, and our Instagram is at Onside Chicks. So again, thank you so much for having me, Sam.
Of course. And for me, guys, you can follow me on all podcasting platforms. You can follow me on my YouTube channel at The Girl Who Talks Sports. If you're watching on YouTube right now, please make sure to click the subscribe button and the little thumbs up. Make sure to do that, because that makes me feel very, very happy every time I see that. You can follow me on Twitter at TGWTS Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at The Girl Who Talks Sports. Everyone, I hope you all have a fun, fantastic sports-filled day, and I will see you guys all next week for NFL Week 2. Bye.